I think that's working. Alright, I'm just getting set up. Here we go. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, friends. Alright. So I've got multiple beverages. I've got my paints. Actually, I got an empty palette here, so I really should get started on this thing. Add a little bit of paint to this. What's going on? Yeah, I every once in a while I try and scrape this palette out, but it's all right. Let's see what we gotta do. Can add a little bit of white. Maybe a lot of bit of white. The trick is to not spill this while I'm doing it. I have no liquid yellow yet, so I'm gonna have to use this. There we go. Gonna use this yellow. I don't really have another yellow right now, which is a little annoying. I keep forgetting to buy it because I had 2 bottles of it and I didn't use that. Let's do the primary colors. Here's some blue. What kind of blue is this? Phthalo blue. Is this bone black? Or I kind of prefer a Mars black, but that's alright. Oh, there's the bone black. That's the bone black. Oh, got it all over my junky art shirt. That's why you wear a junky art shirt. And already making a mess. I love it. I can't tilt it too much. Just know that I'm not lying to you. All right. So last time we were working on the pigeons. These bad boys. I have 2 of them. I got to work on the lighting for this. This is a little harsh, this lighting, but that's okay. One thing I noticed, you probably can tell pretty easily on here though, there's like a real texture to this, which is like a little off-putting. Let's fix this. Can I zoom in? No. I may or may not have ordered a better camera for this, but there we go. I've got my paints. I think my goal is to kind of finish the sky, make it a little bit more realistic. Also, make this green look a little bit better. I'm really bad at mixing green, so hopefully... Gray. I don't know. I always prefer to mix my colors, but that's alright. This one is a little... This bad boy's a little wonky. It's okay. Alrighty. Add a little gray to my palette. Now I gotta add a little bit of iridescent white. This is pretty translucent, so I'm just gonna put it right on top of the gray and put it a little bit in its own tubey. Alrighty. Alright, so where do I start? It's hard to start when you haven't really been working with something for a while, but I'm gonna mix some of this. I want to make this alien a little bit more, have more depth to him. Part of me just wants to make him totally gray. That's like not that fun. Let's try and actually this green isn't terrible. One thing I don't like about this light, it always causes like a weird glare on everything, but I actually kind of like this a little bit better. All right. Let's I'm gonna try and do kind of like I want to do a little bit of shading in here. It's probably not going to have the depth I'd like it to have, but that's okay. I think the real trick is trying to just. Oh, where's my I think the real trick is trying to add highlights too, which for me is sometimes a little annoying. I will say this, once I kind of hit these highlights like I want, and then I'll probably go in with a black to really do the night sky a little bit, do the night sky up a little bit more. Just a little bit. Do this. Might be sticking out a little bit more. Oh man, the texture on this is so rough. It's a little annoying actually. This brush, that's the problem. Did I literally throw this brush? I literally threw the brush in the water and then pulled out the exact same brush. That's alright. I can go in here and just I think I'm gonna actually need to what do you call it, really gonna have to add some red. So you know, you probably already know this. I'm probably preaching to the choir, but when you want to try and make a color darker, the easiest way to do it is to add the opposite color. There's lots of people, oh, just add black to it. Sure, that is good if you're like doing shadows sometimes, but it starts to muddy everything if you're just using black. So I like to add a little bit of just a little dash of red will really kind of bring things out a lot more. Right, if you think about it, black is like the absence of color, so adding a little bit of or whatchamacallit, a little bit of red to your colors will really make them pop more. Mm. You gotta be subtle about it. You can't just jump into it too much. There we go. I actually hate it in real life. I like the way it looks on video. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing, but definitely lost some of that texture. I went a little overboard with some of this coloring. Anyway, it's just, you know what it is also, this dang texture. This dang texture is so harsh to paint on, my guy. I actually might just, maybe in the interim, just cover this thing with some matte medium to be done with it, and just like keep me from losing my mind. However, kind of liking how these fingers are turning out. Here we go. This actually come out nice. Ugh. I like these colors. Another thing I really want to do is lighten up these eyes a bit too. They're way too red, too dark at the bottoms. I feel like maybe if I could there we go. Also really gotta fix these eyes. Ay, these eyes. Oh, you must ruined the yellow on my palette. That's okay. I want to make these eyes orange, not just not like blood red like I had them. It's a little weird. I'm going to paint over those eyes for now. There we go. I'm actually really liking how this is kind of coming out. Alright. Let's try and fix some of this eye stuff before. One thing I don't like is how little there is a differentiation from the skull to the spaceship. They look almost. I mean, I know one's supposed to be. In theory, one's gray, but these generally look like the same colors. Actually, no, I kind of like that now. Let's try a different brush for this. I have this special paint cup one of my kids got me for... Oh, was it my birthday? I thought it was Hanukkah, but maybe not. Maybe it was my birthday. And, no, it was Father's Day. It's really nice. It's like textured at the bottom, which I really enjoy. So I wasn't able to download the last one, but I was able to figure out how to put this onto YouTube. So I'll try and send out links later to where to find all this. But of course, you can rewatch stuff on Twitch pretty easily. Actually, it's pretty nice for that. But oh, look right. No, it's probably a little too harsh. Like, so if we're doing like a traditional saucer, right, you want to try and make it round because we're trying to do something that looks like it came from another planet, dimension, whatever you believe about aliens is fine by me. I just always worry that if we I don't want to make it look too organic, if that makes any sense. The white might have been too much. Actually, I'm kind of digging this. Oof. I'm actually really liking that now. All right, I am doing everything in my power uh, to not put a halo around him. I'm trying not to. I feel like that's kind of cliche, but I feel like that would look so great. But I feel like that's a little on the nose. All right. I was listening to last podcast on the left, and they were doing this whole interview with Dave Foley about Dave Foley of Kids in the Hall, and talking to him about his alien abduction podcast. It's a podcast basically all about people's experiences with alien encounters or perceived alien encounters, because not everyone, I think, on the show totally knows what happened to them, but had a story that kind of comes out of, like, you know, abduction stories, and the idea of kind of talking about them, to like normalizing it so people who feel like they need to have the courage to come out and talk about these things. It was interesting. And Dave Foley said something about how, even though he was a lifelong atheist, being kind of nervous when he hears about, like, these miracles happening around, what do you call it? Abduction stories. And it's like, oh yeah, maybe miracles can happen. Maybe they're just not, they're just beyond our comprehension. And that kind of hit me in the feels. As a lifelong atheist, I would really hate to find out that any of the stuff I learned in Catholic school is real. It would upset me to no end. I know some people get a lot of hope from that. Oof, my ear's starting to bother me. People get hope from that. I find it depressing. The idea that there's someone watching us the whole time and he's, like, not helping, considering how, uneven resources are distributed upon this planet, and how much of your quality of life can easily be determined about what side of an imaginary line you are born on, or the color of your skin can be very, very detrimental to your financial stability, and I think that is crazy. I mean, it just might be, like, me being naive, because I like to think of myself as, like, a world-weary kind of person, but I think I always try and see the best in things, but still, I can't imagine what do you call it, the kind of capital G God, a merciful God, looking down on this planet and go, I'm doing a bang up job. I couldn't imagine, but I don't know. But then one of the hosts, Henry Zabrowski, podcaster, made in a lab, was talking about that he sometimes wondered if maybe, like, things like the ancient Greek pantheon might have just been actual people that were extraordinary for some reason or another, and that over the years their stories were elevated, that they were actual deities. And I think that's kind of a very Judeo-Christian normative kind of view, oh yeah, that there's no way that we use the word God, that these things aren't all powerful. I think, like, the word God and spirit in some cultures, right, are interchangeable, having to do with, like, the context of things, because we come from a culture, a monoculture, monotheism, if you will, where there's, like, supposed to be one God, and he is all powerful. And this is probably just because when the ancient Israelites were chased out of Canaan, they took their Ark of the Covenant with them, and instead of saying, oh, we're losing contact with our God, they decided that their God must be everywhere. Well, this is how it was explained to me by a rabbi at Harvard, but that's another story. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I hear these stories and I'm like, it just seems so obvious that someone made them up. But here's the thing. I think that's fine. Whether they really happened or they're all made up, like the idea of like the big bad wolf is a story to keep rural children from going into the woods alone because there's actual wolves out there. I mean, obviously from the time when there were actual wolves out there, right? Like some of this stuff is based in truth or based on like real world problems. And even if I don't believe in that, doesn't mean it's not true. I'm not the arbiter of everything that is true and not true. It just seems to me a little silly to think that like, oh, there's someone, a creator in the sky watching us and watching all the mess we've made of everything and not thinking to himself, hey, I probably should get down there. They need a little help. They're not doing a great job. But again, I'm naive. Like, I don't know. Maybe that would be a spoiler. Maybe the whole point is the suffering. I don't know. I'm not that kind of, I'm not a deist or whatever. I'm not a theist. Theist is the word I'm looking for. I'm not a theist. I don't believe in a all-knowing and powerful and omnipotent or omnipresent creator deity. It just, whatever. Teach his own. I mean, listen, some of my favorite people are religious, and that's okay. I don't hold that against them. And for some of them, they feel like their belief in a creator God gives them the motivation to do the right thing. Which is funny, because in my mind, I want to do the right thing because I think we're on our own. But you know what? If you're an atheist who wants to like volunteer with kids and donate to food pantries and do your part to create a more just and equitable future for people all over the world, great. If you need there to be an entity in the sky to help you want to do good things because you feel like that's your way of communing with this omnipresent God King who lives in the sky, and that's how you feel the universe works, well, bye, right? I ain't nobody. I'm just a guy painting aliens on Twitch. What do I know? I'm really starting to like this. Although I do kind of miss the purple I had in here. I don't know. It's really hard to mix. I'm actually shocked by how hard it is to mix on this really rough textured painting. I'm just going to paint over all the edges in black. I'll redo the white stars later, I think. I particularly am a big fan of painting all the way around the edge. I don't see the point in leaving the edges of your painting untouched. I feel like, especially with something like this, I couldn't imagine anyone wanting to frame this. Sorry, I had to move that up to get to this part. Like, I'm just gonna wire this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going. I probably won't put a sawtooth. That's kind of janky on a canvas. This is basically a shallow box with a plane on here, so it's kind of built like a canvas. So part of me feels like I'll just wire it like a canvas. But I don't know. Like my friend Brian used to always complain about people putting sawtooth hangers on the back of things. Oh, it's such a pain to hang. I'm just like, yeah, but it's so cheap and easy to do it. R.I.P. Brian. R.I.P. Brian McCormick. Because he always said no sawtooth hangers, and he never complained when I did it. Although one time he did say, if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna rehang it. Do you care? And I said, absolutely not, Brian. This is your gallery. You're the curator. I am but the artist. And he laughed at me, and then he realized I was actually telling the truth. But he probably should have laughed at me anyway. All right, so enough about that. Let's. I kind of like how weird the sky is now. All right, I'm gonna clean off this brush, and I am going to try and fix this skull. All right, there we go. This. Oh no, there's still blue paint stuck in there. This is the problem when you're lazy. Do 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 do. Part of me really wanted to do like a pink outline. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do that anyway. I want to do a pink outline on these pigeons. I don't know why. There's no reason for it. It makes no sense. Maybe it makes sense graphically. Probably not. It makes sense in my head, which doesn't mean anything, obviously. All right, let's mix this paint together. Do I have pink? Probably. Do I have it already mixed? Probably. But I already spilled red into the... Well, next to this, so I might as well use it. Alright, I'm going to use a new brush for this. A clean brush that I washed and I have had sitting in this bucket. Oh, this actually might be a brand new brush. What? New materials? No. I don't know if this makes any sense on camera. No, it's a little too wet there. Go back later. Gonna have to avoid the places I just painted, because they are still kind of wet and they're gonna mix with this weak ass pink. That's alright. This pink is weak. Oh, I got sloppy because I was talking. That's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll do this together. I don't know. I've been really into like adding outlines to things. There's something about learning stuff in art school and then absolutely want to do and the absolute opposite on your own. And I know there are right and wrong ways to do things. I get it. Like, people have like spent their whole lives, actually let's be honest, people have spent thousands of years trying to figure out these methods and optics and all that mess. But I sometimes just want to break the rules. I don't know. And look, a lot of times it doesn't work out, and I should have listened to good advice. Should mix these colors. You should be using oil. Yeah. That's all great. I love that for you. But for me, sometimes I need to make a problem and paint my way out of it. A smarter man. Let's not make this about man. Let's just make this about artists. A smarter artist would have sanded this before they started it. But I am going to rely on my charm and good looks. Oh, I didn't shout out my patrons. If you would like to be one of my patrons on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Lamorte, Lamorte. Shout out to Brian B., my only YouTube patron at the moment. Shout out to him and all the homies on patreon.com. It's a great way to find a artist or content creator, musician, writer, someone who makes things who you like, and support them. It's hard out here in these streets, so I think it's a great way of doing it. So for $10 a month, you can get a sticker pack from me every month. This month is pigeons. They're not regular pigeons. They're not like other pigeons. Well, there's a regular pigeon that looks it's a very tiny version of one of these pigeons. Actually, it's one of the original pigeons I made. I don't know where I put that pigeon. I must have left it downstairs when I cut the brand new ones. So it kind of looks like this, but very, very small. That's one. And then you got one that is a pigeon with Godzilla's head on it. So, not like other pigeons. And then another one that is a Cyclops from, I want to say Clash of the Titans. Ray Harry. It's from a Ray Harryhausen movie, and I just sketched it right on top of the painting. And then the last one, probably my personal favorite, is a pigeon with Cookie Monster's head on it. Cookie Monster, one of the Muppets I always kind of identified with. I had this conversation with my girlfriend over the weekend, and she's like, we were talking about fat people, and she felt like there are two kinds of fat people. There are people who are heavy, who are overweight, who are fat at the moment, and she also feels like there are people who are spiritually fat. I definitely been the former in my life. I may be the latter now, but I will always be fat in my heart where it counts. And because of that, I really always identified with Cookie Monster. The idea of like just being like, oh, I'm trying not to ruin everything for everybody. I want everyone to have a good time, but I have urges I can't control. We've all been there. I mean, it got me up to like 400 plus pounds. Let's be honest. But, yeah, I don't like saying spiritual animal because like that kind of minimizes like the idea of like Native American culture, especially so close to Indigenous Peoples Day, right? That's what we call Columbus Day now, which is like very irksome to a lot of Italian Americans. Does not bother me at all. I don't really have any love for Christopher Columbus left anymore. Christopher Columbus is kind of like an onion, but every time you peel another layer off, it gets worse and worse. But I feel like, hey, let's find a new Italian American. And the one I usually pitch is always Robert De Niro. One, everyone basically likes Robert De Niro. 2, he's a prominent Italian American. He's proud of his heritage. Has done a lot for their culture, for Italian Americans in this country. And 3, I don't think he's done anything racist that I can think of, other than like maybe in a movie role for a character who's supposed to be flawed. But, you know, maybe ideally, a transitional person. Someone who is both Italian and Native American would be great. I can't think of anybody. I mean, I can't think of too many people who are more than one nationality. It's like, I don't keep score like that, but I don't know. I feel like that could be a solution. Oh yeah, this guy tipped off a genocide that would last centuries. Maybe we should pick a different dude. Also, he wasn't even trying to find a new world. He thought he got to India. Like, why don't we just, like, cut our losses here with this Joker and just be like, hey, nah, we're starting over with somebody new, someone less problematic. I feel like that would be awesome. Robert De Niro Day. Or, I mean, I have some favorite Native American artists that would be cool. But it'd be weird naming a Holiday Raven Half Moon Day, considering she's only like, I don't know, 30. She's probably younger than I am. Yeah, that'd be weird. But, you know, whatever. I'm also obviously spitballing here. Well, I'm not in charge of anything but painting. But, like, I don't know. It might be interesting. I mean, the whole point of history, right, is that the word comes from his story, right? Well, stories change. And sometimes we've got to move on. And because people don't know the real history of Columbus Day. So during let's say the reign of Teddy Roosevelt, there was this ongoing problem of Italian American lynchings. And I know what you're thinking. Lynchings? What? Yes, well, a lynching is really just any kind of attack that's solely based on, like, race, creed, religious orientation, sexual orientation. It just means basically, like, a biased attack that ends in murder. And Italian Americans were dying all over this country. And there was a delegation visiting the White House there to talk to. They were so upset about it. I don't know if they were Sicilian or what. I always hear the story that they were Sicilian, but I don't know if that's true. Wanted to talk to Roosevelt about see what he would do about it. And of course he said something, you know, racist about Italians. I think he said, "Oh, whatever. As long as what can we do to get these Dagos or these wops to stop talking about this." And so that's when we got a holiday dedicated to Christopher Columbus. It was to appease the Italian Americans in this country who were who were actually being attacked. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow, that's terrible. It does happen to a lot of groups. Yes, it does. It shouldn't happen to any group. I personally believe if I'm not free till everyone else is free. But I think it's important to remember history because, and I hate to throw my Italian American community under the bus, but many of them are incredibly racist to this day. And not everybody, obviously. But immigrant groups are often do this thing called pulling up the ladder behind them. You see it with like Latin American groups. You know, there's plenty of people whose ancestors came to this country illegally who want to build a border wall to keep other illegals out. Like, I get that. I do. You worked hard and you don't want to lose what you've established, sure. But in this country, everything you have is built on the blood of someone else. Just the way it is. Whether it was the slaves that ran this economic engine that allowed us to flourish, to the child laborers who lost hands and fingers because their little nimble phalanges could fix things faster. You know, or the people who literally fought and died for us to have a weekend. The union workers who fought and died against the Pinkertons, like everything we had, all the rights we have as Americans were fought for with blood. And I think it's totally inappropriate to, one, ignore the plight of those Italian Americans who were victims of their neighbors' rage, whether they were scapegoated just because they were brown or whatever. And also use that as a way to maybe like look at our more recent immigrants and have a little empathy for these people who are also like our ancestors, or maybe, let's be honest, some of you watching this thing, maybe to have a little bit more empathy for those people who are struggling to try and create a life, a better life for their families in this country. I don't know, like my great-great-grandfather was a gardener. He worked for the Macy family at their mansion. And eventually my grandfather, his son, would become a lawyer and a state senator. Like, that's pretty great. But when I go out and I see like a group of landscapers, right, if they happen to be, I don't know, Hispanic or Mexican looking, Salvadoran looking, Guatemalan looking, who knows? I don't ask people where they're from. Most of my Spanish is terrible. But I don't look at them and be like, oh, look at these guys taking jobs. I like look at them and I'm like, I wonder what it's going to be like for their kids. Right? Because the plan in this country is to always try and do a little bit better each generation. Man, I think I've been paying for too long. That you come to this country, you find it work based on your education level, your skill level, whatever. Although I hate the term unskilled labor because some of the hardest jobs I ever had were quote unquote unskilled. Just because you do on-the-job training doesn't mean it's easy. Try working retail or whatever, or working in a fast food place. It's nuts up in there. But you know what I'm saying. I might still be making sense. I don't know. Maybe. Oh God, I want to give him a halo so bad. Oh, I have to be good though. Giving an alien a halo might imply that he's somehow an angel. I think a lot of Christians I know would hate that idea. And I would hate to offend people just because I thought something was funny. That's not true. I would hate to minimize anyone's beliefs, especially if they don't hurt anybody else. Because you praying to your man in the sky really doesn't affect me at all. So, I'm giving all the power to you. I kind of like that pink, though. I did not like it at first, but now I'm kind of digging it. You know what I really need to do? I have enough green. I got to fix the shadow, because look, there's no shadow underneath the skull. There we go. There we go. See, that's the skull shadow, and that's the... See, now they both have a shadow. This might be insane, actually. I might actually be a little nuts doing this like this. But it's okay. We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. I gotta add a little texture. Add a little texture to his head. Oh, no. I gotta put the shadow here. That's looking pretty weird. Alright, I gotta fix these feet on these pigeons. They look too plain. They look like weird chicken nuggets. Ugh. I'm gonna outline the toes. I don't know. This might actually be done. I'm kind of into this actually. You know what? No. Let's add some stars to this. And a little yellow to my white. No, this yellow doesn't even make the white particularly yellowy. What is going on here? All right, I'll add a little iridescent to this. I have this sparkly, shiny white that I like to use sometimes. I don't know. I think I bought it by accident. Maybe it was on sale. And, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to turn the air conditioner on. I wonder it's so cold in here. I like to blast the air conditioner before I do this so I can leave it off during the recording, and I totally forgot to do it. Oh my gosh. Alright, you're going to hear in the back of this whole thing, but it's alright. Gonna add some stars here. All right. Yeah, I think that's it, man. All right. Definitely check out Dave Lamort. Oh, sorry, DavidLamort.com. You can check out David Lamort on Instagram, patreon.com/Lamort, and then follow me here on Twitch. I'm also on YouTube. There are links to all of this on Twitch.tv. But thanks again. All right. Have a good one.